Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing One Night's Fusion. Now, this particular puzzle has actually been out for a while. I'm going to say probably not far off 2 weeks, but it's another of the night puzzles from Meggen033, and it hasn't had that much attention whilst I kind of skipped it. It's a 2-star difficulty rated puzzle, so it's not unusual for me to come back to those a little bit later. Now, when you actually take a look at the grid, I think I understand what it means by fusion. But rather than spoil it for you, I am going to just jump straight into the puzzle and rule set. And then when we get to the solve, I'll explain why I think it's named as such. Let's take a look at the rules for One Night's Fusion by Meggen033 and the following set of rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Then we have cells separated by knight's move in chess cannot contain the same digit. So if this cell is a 2, for example, obviously nothing in the same row, nothing in the same column, nothing in the same box. But in addition to that, anything that is a chess knight's move away, which is that L shape, 2 steps forward, 1 step to the side, obviously it could be either side, it could be this L, etc. None of these could be a 2 either. Then we have digits in cages do not repeat and sum to the clue in the top left. So if this cell is a 2, this would have to be a 7 to make sure that these 2 cells add up to the 9, which is what's given in the top left corner. These 2 cells are 10, these 4 cells are 28, 12, etc. Say etc, I've covered all the cages actually. Digits along each thermometer must increase starting from the bulb end. So if this cell is a 2, this would have to be 3 or higher. Doesn't have to be in regular steps, so a step of 1 could lead to a step of 2. It could be whatever I want it to be. What I cannot have, though, is at any point I'm decreasing along, as I get further from the bulb end. So that 4 breaks the thermometer rule. Then last but not least, we've got the white dot. A white dot between cells, let's say it's this one here, indicate cells with consecutive values. So this would have to be 1 or 3. And not all dots are given. So negative constraints don't apply. The 2 and 3 here are clearly consecutive. Without a white dot, not a problem under today's rule sets. So that's all the rules we have for today. As always, if you want to play along, link will be in the description down below for you to do so. With that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. Now, I genuinely think that the fusion is very much a reference to this very odd shape that we have here. And then we've got this 10 cage and this thermometer. So the break-in is somewhere in here. Now, 12 and 4 cages is not forced. It must have 1 and 2. But beyond that, essentially, I'm left with 1 and 2 with either 3, 6 or 4, 5. Essentially, another 2 cells that add up to 9 that are clearly not 1 and 2. So this is 1, 2, 3, 6 or 1, 2, 4, 5. Now the key thing with both of these is essentially this cell can actually see all of these inside the cage. So with Sudoku it can see all of these, and then with anti-night move it can see this cell. So this cannot be 1 or 2, it has to be higher. Oh, and the flip side is even better. So, right, so let's talk about the 28 cage, which is in a very similar manner, has to have 8 or 9, but then it would be joined with either, so 8 and 9 is 17, then I need 2 cells that add up to 11, which is either 5, 6 or 4, 7. So that is kind of the requirement in here. So there is 8 or 9. Oh. Sorry. I saw that. He said the phone. I'm sorry, I'm confused. Oh, sorry, my lovely. Sorry, everyone. I'm just gonna. I haven't paused, no. I'm gonna hit the pause button for a second, at least on my solve.
Are you hungry? Because you didn't eat anything.
I'm definitely gonna pause now. Right, sorry about that. Right, so I was saying that there has to be 8 and 9 in here. and therefore this can be a maximum of 7. I can't have 8 or 9 in this cell because again it can see all of these. So this is 7, 6, 5, 4, and this is a minimum of 3. So I actually have very little degrees of freedom in here. Now I also have in here 1 of 4, 7 or 5, 6. And in here I have 1 of 3, 6 or 4, 5. Sorry, I'm staring blankly at the screen. I'm just thinking. So if it is 4, 5, one of them would be here, and then that would be its counterpart, and then the second one would be somewhere in there. So this would be 3, this would be 4 or 5, this would be 4 or 5. So it does work. Right, so maybe this white crocodile will help me. So this cell sees all of these. That's quite important. Which means if this is... No, let's think about this. So this white crocodile, if it is 8 or 9, this would be 7, 8 or 9. To be fair, it can't be 8 or 9 because again it sees all of these cells. So if it is, essentially, if this cell is 8, this would be 7, this would be 6, this would be 5. But then that breaks the puzzle. Because if I have 7 and 6 in here, essentially I cannot have 6 or 7 inside the 28 gauge, and I need at least one of them. So that can't be 7 for that exact reason. And therefore this cannot be 8 or 9. Because, well, it can't be 9. Can't be 8 because that would be 7. And obviously there couldn't be 9 because again it would see all of these cells and then it would remove the 9. So whichever, so this is 4, 7, 5 or 6. Let's just, I'm just going to pencil mark these all for a second and just think about it. Now, if that's 7, because that can't be 8, it would be 6, and then it would break this cell fairly obviously. If that's 6, that would be 7, and then that would break that cell. If that's 6 and that's 5, it would break this cell. So again, it can't be 6 either. Now, if that's 5 and that's 6, it breaks this cell. So 5 could be 4. Essentially, this is a low digit, 2, 3, 4. Not 2, 3 or 4, depending on whether this is 4 or 5. It has to go down. If this is 4, it obviously can't be 5. It would repeat the 5. If this is 5, because that can't be 6, it breaks this cell. It has to go down to 4. That means one of these two cells is a 4. Interestingly, this is also now 4, 5, which sees all of these cells. So if this is a 1, 2, 4, 5, we are like hugely restricted in what's going on in here. This now has to be 6 or 7. To make sure that these two cells add up to 10. I mean, it's interesting the symmetry or fusion of all of these things. Now, can any of them be the same, or are they deliberately different? It's kind of a natural question. So if this is 4, that has to be 7. I'm genuinely curious, can they both be the same? So let's say this is double 7. What does that do? That becomes 3, that becomes 4. 7, sorry, I've got pencil mark checking on. I'm just going to switch it off. What does that do? So if that's 4, that needs to include a 7, which obviously doesn't work because that's the 4, 7 and the 8, 9 that's in here. And now I've eliminated that option. Right, and I'm guessing the same is true if this is double 6, because now this would have to be 1, 2, 4, 5. This would be 4. And because this is 4, there can't be a 4 in here. It would have to be 5, 6, and then the 6 doesn't work. Essentially, that 4 would become a 5. And then I have to have a 6 in here to add up to 28. So these two actually definitely have to be different. So if I make this, I don't know, red and orange, they're different. Do these have to be different? Interesting question. Let's think about it. So if that's 4, that would obviously be 6, and then that would have to be 7. Now, if they're both the same, that would make this 4, 5, 6. Technically, that's achievable. That would be 5, and then this would have to be a 5, 6, 8, 9 group. And then because this is 3, 6, this would have to be 1, 2, 4, 5, which doesn't work. If these are the same, this cage breaks because I've essentially eliminated the 6 and the 4, and I can't have either of them. Right, so just as well, these two are different. I'm going to run out of colors. I can see this is going to be yellow, this is going to be green. Right. So what more do we know? We know that I need to have 1 of 3 or 4 in here, and it's going to be the yellow 3, 4, because it can't be the green 3, 4. And the yellow 3, 4 can't be this cell. That's like the end of the puzzle. That didn't go very far. But it could be any of these. That doesn't seem right. What about this cell? That needs a red 6, 7, which has to be one of these two cells. That's not very helpful. And then this doesn't have to have an orange, but it does have to have yellow, which is just in too many places. I'm not going to pencil mark that. In fact, I'm not even sure I want to pencil mark this. Right, so this is definitely 8 or 9 though. And am I right in saying that? Yes, because the red 6, 7 is in one of these two cells with a green 3, 4. I think I'm right in saying that. Yes, I am right in saying that because, hang on, no it isn't. It is in green. Because it's 4 or 5, it is not 3 or 4. I can't have a 3 inside a 28 cage, so that's not going to work. So I know it's not yellow, but I don't know that it has to have a green because I actually don't know if this cell contains 4 or is it just 5, 6. If it is 5, 6, that would be the 5, 6, and that would have to be the other 5, 6. I don't know. This is feels like it's defeating me. Right. Um, we don't know that there has to be a 4, 5. So we don't know that this is 4, 5. I kind of need to move on from this somehow. I'm not sure how. We know that one of these two cells is a 4, which is just not enough. Is it this white crop kidot that kind of brings it all together? Maybe? Maybe? Right. We know that this is not 1 or 2. We know... I say we know. I'm not sure we do know. Hang on, hang on. I'm sorry. Like we did say that there has to be yellow in somewhere in here, didn't we? Yes. Because it must have 3 or 4, and then green is none of these. So yellow has to be somewhat in here. So we know that this cannot be green, but it doesn't stop it from being yellow and going somewhere else. So this cannot be 3, 4, but it could be 4, 5. I'm just going to pencil mark this for a second so we don't forget. Presumably, nothing stops it from being 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is just too many options. This thermometer, this 9 cage. I'm genuinely not sure. So interestingly, because we said these are different, so if this is 4, that's 6, and therefore this would be 3, this would be 7, these two also add up to 10. Right, that's the obvious. No, hang on, they add up to 10. So if it's 4, that would be 6 because they have to add up to 10, because that would be 3, that would be 7, and therefore that would be 6. So if this is 4, that would be 6, and then I don't have enough space. I would require a double 5. There you go. That's 3, that's 7, that's 4, that's 6, that's 5. Now there has to be a 6 in here with the 8, 9, and it's not this cell. So this is 8 or 9, and the rest of it is, so 6, 8, 9, not a 6, and there's a definite 6 in here. Now we have a break-in. 5 in here gave me a 6. This is still 4 or 5. However, this being a 3 and this being a 6 means this is not 1, 2, 3, 6. This has to be 1, 2, 4, 5. And this 4, 5 would have to be in here. And it's not 5, it is a 4. And this now is 1, 2, 5. Except the 5 again is neither of these cells. So these are not 5s. That's the 5, that's a 4, and we have our break-in. So I made this probably a lot harder than it was. 3 can't be any of these cells. Don't know. This 9 cage, still don't know. So this is not 7. This is 8 or 9, and there is a 7 in here with 8 or 9 with a definite 7. It's starting to limit the 9 cage because whichever one is the 7, it sees both of these cells, either by Sudoku or by night move, and obviously the reverse is true. So whichever one is a 7 means there's no 2, 7 in here, there's no 4, 5 in there. So my options are 1, 8, 3, 6, and the 3, 6, that can't be 6, therefore this can't be 3. Okay, and actually that 6, if I paid attention, gave me a 6 in here, which removed that 6 altogether, so I didn't even have to think about it that hard. This is a 1, 8 pair. Right, we definitely have our break-in at this point. 6 is none of these cells. If 6 is in here, well, it can't be with 5. It would have to be 6, 7. 7 can't be there, so that would have to be the 7. This would have to be the 6. In fact, the 6 now is in one of these two cells for sure. This cannot be 8, 9 because it sees both of these cells, which would stop them both from being 8, 9, and it can't be 7. It is, in fact, definitely 6. This is definitely 7. This is not 6. These are now 3, 8, 9. There's no definite anything. It's just 3, 8, 9. Right, maybe we should continue with this cell. So that can't be 3. So that means there's a definite 3 in here. This is 1, 2, 3. Well, it's not 1. That's 2, 3. That is 1. Okay. Don't know why I was able, I mean, like obviously the 9 cage kind of breaks the symmetry, so I don't have something in here to figure out what this 8, 9 is. But like I said, we're well on our way at this point. Okay. Where do I go from here? So I'm being a bit more talkative than normal because I can hear fireworks in the background, so deliberately being quite verbose. 6 is none of these cells, 6 is in here, not very useful. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is not here, but 5 could be any of these. 7 could be anywhere, and 9 could be anywhere, not very useful. Not going to pencil mark that. What am I missing in here? I'm missing a ton of things. 7, not there, but could be any of these. Yeah, I'm going to move on in the interest of time. 6 is not here, 6 is not there, 6 is in one of these two cells. 4 is in one of these two cells. Yeah, I'm going to be in for a tough time. 7 we can actually just place. That's a 7 because it's none of these and none of these. Then this cell, don't know. We know it's not 6s, but that's not very useful. 4's not very useful. Maybe this thermometer, I need to think about it a bit earlier than intended. So I know it can't be 3, 8, or 9 because this cell sees all three with Sudoku and then with night move. So, but it can be 1, 2, it could be 4, can't be 5. Can it be 6? It would require 6, 7, 8, 9. So 6 is as high as it goes. Assuming this is 7, this is 8, this is 9. Possible. That's fully pencil mark, but that, if I'm honest, doesn't feel very useful. I think I need to do a lot more like night constraints to make it more useful. Yeah, not sure. Not sure. 6s, 7s, 7, 7, not 7. 7 in one of two cells. 7 is not here. 7 could be any of these. Well, not this cell, but I mean, it's one of these 4. Not that cell. Still not very useful. Can that be 7, 5, 3, 1 or 2? Possible. Eight is up here. 8 has to be one of these two cells. So just Sudoku says it's up there. That can't be 8 because if this is 9, I've broken the puzzle. So in fact, because this is not 8 or 9, not 7, not 6, not 5, this is actually quite restricted. This is 2, 3, 4, and this is 1, 2, 3, and it's not 1 and it's not 3. So 2. This would have to be 3 or 4 to be larger than the 2. 2 is one of these two cells, kind of forming like an X-wing in here. Don't know what this 3, 4 is. 3 and 4 are not in here. This 3, 4 is none of these cells. And it can't be either of these cells because of kind of that classic, can see both of these, can see both of these. So there are no 3, 4's in here. And this 3, 4 can't be in any of these. It has to be in here where it's not a 4. That's a 3, and therefore that's the 3. Then the 4 is none of these cells. That's a 4. That's an 8. I mean, night move can be really powerful, and this is 5 or 9. And then to complete the row, I need 2, 7, and 4. That's not a 4. That's a 2, 4 pair. That's a 7. These two are now known. They are 1, 7. That's 7. Tell me that's the 1. That's the 7. 7 is in one of two cells now down here. And this is not 1, 2, 3, or 4. It is 5, 6, or 9. That is not 5 or 6. That is just 9. That gives me a 5, 6 pair for... It's not hugely useful because, you know, it's quite far away from being able to use night move to do anything. No 2, 3's. It's not quite enough. Because you can almost like force a 2 in here, but this cell could also be 2. It would just make this 3, which is like totally fine, and then this would be 2. So I may genuinely have to pause this solve. I'm sorry if the fireworks continue because it's highly audible now for me. I may have to try and find some non-copyrighted music to make sure that it covers the noise.
Current statistics from science are fascinating. Less than 5% of the universe around us is made of ordinary matter that we can detect. The other 95% is made of mysterious...
So this 389 is in one of these two cells. And then that gives me a triple of 389. then a triple of 1, 2, 4. And then what is the missing digit? 6. Yeah, but 6 could be in any of these, can't it? Yes. Sorry, you're going to have to excuse the background noise. That's Mrs. Sleuth trying to hide the fireworks with the TV. So I'm going to kind of lose these colors. I think colors are very helpful when it comes to night move. I just can't see how to use them just yet. Let's think about this cell. I mean, again, we can play that 389 trick, and we've got 7 and we've got 6. I mean, it's still a ton of options left. 1, 2, 4, 5, then not 6, 7, and then not the 8, 9, and not the 3. Still a ton of options. Really not keen to pencil mark a lot more, but I feel like I have to. So there is a 2 in one of these cells, because we've got essentially 2's lining up in columns 4 and 6. So that's never been a 2. And then I have another 389 somewhere, which won't be this cell, it'll be one of these 2. So this 389 is in here, one of these is in there, and then the third one is in here, which is not 3, it's 8 or 9. Yeah. That's a very odd way of saying this is not 3. Did that make sense? Right, let's try that. Let's genuinely use colors now. Purple, green, orange. We know that orange is in one of these 2 cells. And then we know that one of green or purple is in here. And then the other green or purple is in there. And one of them cannot be 3 because of this 3. That's not enough. What's wrong if this is 3? That would mean that this is an 8-9 pair. And then essentially one of them is 8-9, one of them is 8-9. Make it very difficult to disambiguate, but if they're on different rows, that's not a problem. Interesting. So this cell is not 7, it's not orange, it's not green, it's either 2 or purple. And then this cell is 2, 7 or green. And this could be either, like I don't want to pencil mark that. And then there's another green or purple in here. So remember, this is green or purple, depending on what these are. And this is, well, it could be orange. Orange is, after all, one of these 2 cells, but this is the one that is different. It's green. We said it's not orange, but it clearly can't be purple because that is within reach, so it is green. So that's green, which means that is not green, that is just purely 2, 7. I need one of green or purple in here, which admittedly this can still be purple, that's a bit of a shame. But this means that's not a 3, that's 8 or 9. And one of these 2 cells is 3, not brilliant. And then green is in one of these 2 cells. Now this is purple or orange, this is purple or orange, not very helpful. Green's not here. Green is not there. But that's kind of the end of it. Green is not here either, because essentially it's one of these 589s. So essentially one of these is green, and none of these are green. This could be green, this could be green. Not very helpful. And then any of these could be green, which is again not very helpful. Did I say this is... No, this is not definitely green. So we know green is none of these now. But I don't know much more than that. Purple is none of these, not this, not this. It's one of 3 cells. Not helpful. None of these, none of these. But it could be one of like a ton of options. Orange is none of these, not here. So if I can do a bit more with orange, that would be helpful. So orange is none of these cells, is one of these 2, which means that's not orange. One of these 2 is orange. Not helpful. We already knew that green is not there. It's one of these. Not helpful again. I don't know what's going on. Purple. We already established orange is quite tough to place. Okay. It'll be helpful if I can eliminate like the 6, because that would give me a 1, 2, 4 triple. And then essentially that would be 6 orange, however useful that is. But how can I eliminate the 6? I said that would have to be 7, 8, 9. Why is that problematic? Essentially, that would have to be the orange, and this would have to be... Orange would have to become 9. That would be orange. That would be orange. That would be orange. You can see how I'm not struggling to make this work. And then essentially one of these becomes orange. These don't become orange. These are not orange. You know, one of these 4 is orange. None of these are orange. None of these are orange. Not very useful. Can't eliminate it. Oh, I can eliminate it. There's a 7 there. So if that's 6, it's 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's a 7. Come on, sleuth. That's not 6. That does give me a 1, 2, 4 triple, and therefore this is 6 orange. I'm actually going to corner pencil mark that. Okay. Not orange. Right, so these not being 9, 7, this is starting to become quite restrictive. So let's just think about options. Let's go with 4 for a second. That would have to be, the minimum is 5. That can't be 6. That can't be 7. This would have to be 8. This would have to be 9. So that would be 4, 5, 8, 9 if I use a 4. Now, presumably, there is a lot more degrees of freedom if this is a 1. Because I could go 2, I can go 3. I can't go 4 because I've got 1, 2, 4 triple, and I've got 5. But technically, I can go as low as 6. Now, I can't be 7, but I could be 8. Now, if that's 8, essentially that's saying... Yeah, so if this is 8 or 9, that would be 8 or 9, that would be 8 or 9. You know, all of that would work. And if that's 8, that's 3, that's 2, that's 1. See, the only time that this is not 1 is if this is 9. Can I possibly force this at all? Probably. Probably. It's got a lot tougher. Like, a lot tougher. I'm trying to figure out why. This being 2, 7, because we've established not purple, orange, or green. Yeah, not sure. Purple, none of these. Purple is also one of these. Don't know how I missed that. And therefore, this is never purple. And it's never orange. So it's either green, in which case it's 9, or it's neither, in which case it's 5. Okay? Tricky, tricky. Purple is not here. This technically could be purple, could be orange. We know that this is not green, but it could be purple or orange. I mean, we know it's definitely purple or orange because the 3 is purple or orange. No, that's not very useful. It's not very useful at all. We know that 3 is in one of these cells. We know that this is not 1. It technically could be 2. It's not 3. It's not 4. It could be 5. It could be 6. It's not 7. And if it is 8 or 9, it would be the purple 8 or 9, which it, again, could be. That's frustrating. No. I'm making this very hard for myself. There has to be something that I'm missing. That was 6. That was never 6. This is another 1, 2, 4. 5. No idea. Why is it like that? 8. So 3, 8 here has to be one of these colors, and it can't be purple. Fantastic, it can't be purple, because purple is in one of these two cells, and both of them see this cell. And it can't be orange, because both oranges see this cell, so that's green. Now take a look at what green is. Which digit is common between all of them? 8. That means that's not green, that is green. And then that is green, that's not green. In fact, I can just, and then one of these two is green, that's fine. Like, it's just, that's a cause for celebration. 8 in here forces this to be 9, which forces it to be orange. And therefore this has to be 6. And then purple is 3, and then orange is 9. Wow, that is very hard to see. I'm kind of hoping you guys found this way easier than I have. That 9 means that's 5, that's 9. And 9 and 8, I mean, they've still got tons of options. Purple is 3, we said. So this is technically 2, 3, 7, except we said this is not 7. And then we have another 1, 4 with a 5 in here. 1, 4, 5. Lovely. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5, triple. Don't know. Threes means one of these is a 3. Less useful. I'm really happy I managed to sort of spot this. We're at 37 minutes. That is ridiculous. That took me a long time. 8 is in one of these 2 cells. If that's 8, that's 8. If that's 8, that's 8. Both of which work. Not helpful. 8 and 9 are not here. Interesting. Okay, so let's think about 8 for a second. 8 is none of these. 8 is not that because of Sudoku. 8 is not that because of night move. 8 is in one of these 3 cells, which means, I mean, it's not very useful. 1 sleuth. Goodness me. None of these could be 8. This was 8. Right, you've definitely found a better solution than I have. That is for definite. Then 8s means that's the 8. And I think that's all the 8's done, isn't it? No, I need an 8 in here somewhere, and it's there. 8's are done. 1, 8. We won't mention this. You'll be kind in the comments about how long it took me to see the fact that there are no 8's in here. I've made it way harder for myself than I should have. Right, what is going on in here? Well, I need a 9, and it can't be any of these cells. That's a 9. Then I need 1, 5. 5 can't be any of these cells. That's 5. Am I imagining that this is 1, 2 pair that's left? It is, isn't it? Fascinating. Then I have another 1, 2 with a 6 or another 1, 2 with a 6 and a 5. 1, 2, 6, 5. 5 and 6 means that's the 1, 2. This is a 5, 6 pair, which isn't resolved as far as I could tell. Then down here we've got another 1, 2 and 5, 6. Okay. Feels like I'm going to start coloring the 1s and 2s in a bit. Actually, no, I don't need to. That's a 1. That's a 2. That's a 2. That's 3. That's 2. That 3 hasn't helped. That 2 may help still with 1, 4 in here. Hasn't helped me with the 7, 9. There's a 2 which can't be there. So that's the 2. I've already had a 2. Ignore that. So what I actually needed is another 5, 6 and a 4. So one of these cells is a 4 with 5, 6. Is that helpful? Not really. And then in here I need to have a 9, which is one of these 2 cells. I don't know. 9 is somewhere in here. In fact, one of these 3. That's not very useful. We do know what this is. This is 1, 3, 7. And in fact, this 7 and this 1 tells me that's 3. And this is a 1, 7 pair. Therefore, that's not a 1 because it sees both of these cells. I'm really frustrated with the how long it took me to see that this is not 8. That was just, I don't want to say embarrassing, but it just made it way harder than it should have been. So in here I have another 5, 6, and 9, and something else, a 2. That is not the 2, but it could be 5, 6, or 9. And this is not 9, and it could be 2 or 5, 6. I mean, not hugely helpful. That 2 gave me a 5 in here. So far, this is looking like it could be 4. These 2 cells, well, I need a 3, and it can't be there. That's a 3. That's a 1, 4 pair, which I can actually resolve. That's 1, that's 4. And this cell is just known. It is... Come on, 1. Not 1. These 2 are 4, 5 pair. That gives me another 1 in here. 2, 1, 4, 2. Helps if I paid attention earlier. And earlier, I think we're basically going to solve it at this point, unless I've royally screwed up earlier. 1 gave me 7 and 1. And no idea. This cell sees both of these, so this cannot be 4 or 5. That's a 6, which gives me 5, which gives me 6, which gives me 4, which doesn't help me with my 4, 5. And in fact, I can just lose all of these corner pencil marks. This cannot be 6. This is 2, 5, or 9. That is not 5. So this is 2 or 9, and this is not 2, not 5. That is just straight up 9. So 9, 2, 5, 4, 5, 7, 2, 3 pair, both of which are valid still. Need a 9, need a 4, need, forget 2 and 3. Let's just think about what else is left. 6, 6 is here. This is 2 or 3, and it's 2, 3, 2, 7, and if I've not made any mistakes, 3 for the finish. So I definitely made this way harder than it should have been by not seeing this earlier. But I think you guys are going to find a much quicker path than what I've done so far. Regardless, another phenomenal puzzle from Meggen033's, pardon me, Night Fusion puzzles or Night series puzzles. Hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle and maybe the video as well. And I'll see you back for the next one. Bye-bye for now.